Hello and welcome back to the Beardworks podcast for episode 13. And boy, has it been a long journey to get here. Nick, how you going, man?
Oh yeah, going not too bad. Bit better now. We figured out this recording. Bloody, our bot has been shitting itself. Different programs haven't been working correctly. Mics, just everything. We've been ice skating uphill, but we're here. Let's get it.
Yeah, it's been a full-on kind of week for us, I guess. And we've been grinding away, and I guess it's okay to have a hiccup and bumps in the road on the way. So we're going to take it as it goes and roll with the punches. So this episode is going to be a little bit shorter than normal, but we haven't got the time to do anything else at the moment. So first off the bat, let's talk about something like a genre that's been around for a long time, and there's been different takes and aspects on it over the last few years. But this one's one I actually probably enjoyed. So we're talking about a new Netflix film that came out this year, which starring Jamie Foxx, and it was called Project Power, a different view on how to get superpowers and etc. So, Nick, I know you were saying you weren't the biggest fan of this movie, so what were your gripes and your review of this kind of film?
Like we talked on the podcast many times about superheroes. We both love them: comics, movies, animated movies, everything. I don't know. This was all right. It's just I feel like it was a bit of a wasted opportunity. Like we only saw a couple powers that were okay. But they're advertising this movie with all these like tablets that can give you the sickest powers, and then we don't get to see many. What's his name? Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. He was probably one of my favorites. He had like the bulletproof skin and like the super strength. But other than that, even Jamie Foxx, the main character, his like explosion power at the end wasn't that hype.
Yeah, it was sort of like he sort of built up his power to be some really cool. It's hard to explain how he sort of described it to one of the enemies. But the one thing I liked about it is that he didn't use the drug or the power very often, or he only used it once in the movie. But I just liked that he didn't use it and that he sort of combated guys that had powers just by doing what he was doing. So it should have showed that he was a badass on his own terms, just trying to save his daughter, which is obviously the whole reason behind the film, is that you find that his daughter was the one that has the drug, or not the drug, so she's the one that has the power inside of her that they can synthesize the drug from her, cells must be, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it did remind me a bit of Spawn though. Jamie Foxx running around not using any power, just like guns and just being brutal. Definitely like Spawn, because Spawn, we obviously read that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to use his power because it affects his like time on Earth. Doesn't want to drain it all super quick.
Yeah.
And it is a funny parallel because Jamie Foxx is rumored to be the new Spawn.
Yeah, that's it. So the film overall was, I did enjoy it. I think the powers are kind of cool, how they don't really have like a good effect on the human body at all times. So we spoke about this in the many times we tried to record this podcast, that your power might be you just exploding as soon as you take the drug, which is kind of funny. So it doesn't mean just because you can take the drug doesn't mean you're going to instantly have an awesome power. You can have something that's like a massive backdraw. One of the characters at the beginning, Newt, who's played by Machine Gun Kelly, his character, he can catch on fire. So like he's pretty much like the Human Torch. Can't fly though, and can't throw fire. He's just on fire. And it shows that he's taken the drug so many times that he's like got like massive degree burns on his face and his body from using that power so much.
Yeah, it was definitely, that was one aspect I did like. How like the cop explains to those junkies that he catches buying it. They're like, you don't know what power you're going to get. You have it, you're going to have powers for 5 minutes, but you could just die. You could take it, get super strength, awesome. You could take it and your head could explode.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how it's actually going to like affect your body and trigger something hidden in you. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Machine Gun Kelly just looked like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, and it was just cool. I think it was just a really, because they say that movies and TV shows with superhero powers these days show that there's no real drawback of having like these powers. That no matter what you do, you sort of come back to normal and there's no repercussions. In this one, it shows that if the power isn't suited for your body type, sort of like the flaming kind of like Newt's character, that you can have long lasting damage on your body. That's funny. There was like that character that was the enemy that they faced in the movie, the guy that could stretch his limbs like with bones and like all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I kept thinking to myself, does he have long lasting like problems after that? Like, is there a drawback from having that kind of stretchy skin, sort of like Mr. Fantastic kind of style? But yeah, I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt's actor or character. Sorry, Frank. I didn't actually mind him. Yeah, his powers were super like rock hard skin. And that's such a cool scene when he gets the gun disarmed off of him and the chameleon kind of villain that was robbing a bank shoots him square in the head, and you just see the bullet bounce off the side of him. But obviously, with the impact, it sort of knocks him cold for a few seconds.
It reminded me of that scene in Superman Returns. You know when the bullet hits his eye
Yeah,
in slow mo. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. But then all the cops think he's dead, so they open fire, and then but he just gets up and starts pummeling him into the ground.
yeah, that was so cool. And the thing, it showed that like he misses the punch and punches at the ground and like smashes the ground. So
Yeah,
he must have a little bit of super strength. Just because you have rock hard skin doesn't mean you can punch a hole in the ground.
yeah, no, he's definitely got to be. Yeah, it's got to be doing something to him, like physically.
But yeah, so the whole synopsis of the story is that the major or Art, which is Jamie Foxx's character, his daughter's the one that they've been synthesizing the drug off of her, and I think he must have tried to get her away from that area, and that's when you sort of see a bit of a flashback of them getting chased and getting the cornfields and stuff like that, and her getting kidnapped and him being left on his own. So the story is that he wants to get her back, obviously. So he sort of brings this drug dealer who like deals with the drug power into the fold, who's a younger girl, reminds him a bit of his daughter, to get her to find the information out, and then Frank's character, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, Frank is a police officer trying to stop the drug, but also takes the drug to sort of fight the bad guys. There's no real good people in this story, really.
Yeah, we've been seeing that a lot in like superhero stuff today. Like the boys, for example, there's no really good people in that. We'll get to the boys a bit later, but yeah, it's a pretty popular like trope to put in a superhero story. I feel.
Yeah. So the world building is actually quite good, and so I was a bit disappointed. I felt like it could have been like, I think we spoke about this. It could have been like a mini series. Um, because the world could be so rich and they could change things up and make it a bit, because this is based in New Orleans, and it's based that the government's actually creating the drug and testing it for free by giving it out to the wider public in the drug scene, so then they don't have to worry about testing it on people so much in their own little laboratory, and obviously stuff leaking and finding out that the government's testing on people. The way I think they looked at it is that they could test for free, and they could sort of semi control it, because they were having people going around and getting shot and picking people off if they were doing the wrong thing. So
Yeah, it's pretty well. This movie is just human trials on junkies for superhero powers.
yeah, and they show, and also that the scientist who's creating the drug, she made a comment saying that there was an operation done so many years ago on a girl, and they found that something in her cells or her spinal fluid or something like that was like really rich, and that's helped create the drugs that we have today. So what they did is, like, they're saying that the doctor stole that for the better of humankind, and so this doctor's or scientist is saying that doing this to Art's daughter, it can, she's against her will, but they're saying that this can change like the future for everyone. Obviously, their long-term goal is, I think, to have everyone have permanent superpowers, or just like the right people in the right places have the superpowers, so they can more controlling and more than the government already is. So that was a pretty cool kind of little snippet saying that that she's doing it for the better of mankind, but how much, at what cost, if you know what I mean.
There, she's got all these like those righteous like beliefs in her head, but she's definitely just wants to get rich off these tablets.
Yeah, and I just found it really cool that was a sort of like backstory saying that because it feels like it's a very rushed film, as in they don't have to. It's not like they introduce the characters like crazy quickly, but I feel like they could have, like I said, it was a fairly long film, I think, but they could have, a miniseries would have been really good, because that world would have been really well built. In saying that, there could be a sequel, but I'm not sure if Jamie Foxx would come back for it. I mean, it's sort of getting mixed reviews, I think. I mean, I'm on the fence where I think it's not too bad, not the greatest film, whereas you're more, it's not a great film.
Yeah, I didn't rate it that much. It's got some cool aspects, but yeah, definitely didn't rate it that highly. I think it was a wasted opportunity, and it would have worked better as a Netflix special, like a 10-part, like Hill House style.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense. But I guess that's neither here or there. I think that would just be one and done, which is not such a bad thing these days. We always say that sometimes films should just be one and done, and that's probably, like, in one instance, I think that. I mean, I love the John Wick series, but John Wick 1 is the best one,
Easily.
and the other film not so much. So
Even two's really good, but three, like, is he Assassin's Creed now? Like, I cannot be the only one that thought that scene was Assassin's Creed ripoff.
yeah, definitely. Well, that's one thing. So I guess we can just say that it wasn't a bad film, not the greatest film. Acting wasn't too bad. The powers are interesting. Nothing that we haven't really seen before, though. Nothing real, other than I think art's power. That was quite. We should probably talk about that woman that had she had the test inside that chamber, and she got ice powers.
Oh yeah, they give this like stripper the tablet as a demonstration for like I don't know investors or drug dealers or whatever, and they put her in this chamber. It's like the thing they put like the chamber they had built in Avengers for Hulk. It looked identical to that, and she like starts getting all these ice powers like Sub Zero kind of, but she's freezing, so they have to heat up the inside of this chamber to keep her alive. But then obviously shit kicks off and it breaks, and then she just freezes and crumbles. Like it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because like their powers are really unknown. I think like you can't tell before you take the drug what kind of power you're gonna have. So
Yeah,
I mean, I guess that chamber was equipped with everything, but I thought it was a bit funny how they had like the heating thing already installed on it,
yeah.
even though they didn't know what power she was gonna have. But that was a pretty brutal kind of death. She couldn't control it once the heating stuffed up and her limbs get ripped off from the ice being like her hand getting stuck to the ground. And funny thing, did you see Casey Neistat was in that movie?
Yeah, there was a couple YouTubers. I don't know who the other dude was, but I definitely saw Casey Neistat and one other.
Yeah, that was funny watching him because he actually didn't have any lines. Like he just,
Yeah, no.
it's funny. Obviously, it's just funny
It's because
seeing.
he wasn't vlogging.
Yeah,
If he was vlogging, you'd be in it.
yeah, and he wasn't wearing sunglasses. So,
Wow.
but yeah, moving on. Let's talk about something we both watched recently. And that's another superhero kind of project kind of thing, and that's The Boys, season two
Oh,
premiere. Um,
I love the boys.
Yeah, that's a really cool. Now this is one of those things where the first season I didn't know what was going to really I was going to get from the first season, and I really enjoyed it because it just shows that not all superheroes are good people, that they can be assholes, and that there is somebody out there that'll put you in your place, and that comes in the form of John Butcher, who's the lovely character played by Carl Urban, who's one of my favorite actors. Um,
Yeah, he's wicked.
um, and so yeah, the start of season two, Nick, what do you think of it?
Oh, it just kicks off straight away because end of season one, I was hooked. And this just kicks it straight off. You get a flashback, you find out what's happening. The only thing I was a bit shook for, like throughout this episode, I was like, okay, where's Butcher? Where's Butcher? Where's Butcher? And then in the end, he comes in with the sickest line Daddy's home.
Yeah, when I was wondering, sorry, when I was watching it, thinking, what's happened to Butcher? Is he being held somewhere? Blah blah blah. But then they make it out to say that he's actually still free and doing what he wants to do. It's just he's not with them. So, um, but yeah,
I reckon we're going to get some flashbacks of him after he found out about his wife. Like he probably was a bit upset or.
it's definitely not a great. It's not the greatest show without him in it because he makes the show.
Yep, definitely.
It's like one side of the coin where you have like the bad, not the bad guys, but the anti-heroes, which is like Huey and is a Mother's Milk and who's that the guy's name? Frenchie.
Yeah, Frenchie. I love
um,
Frenchie. He's wicked.
and then you've got that superpowered girl that's like a mute. So
Yep.
um, those guys are like the one side of the coin where they're anti-soups. They want to try and stop the bad guys all the time. They want to show expose Vought for for them creating a drug that can give superpower. Sorry, so it's very similar to Project Power, kind of that way.
Just done better.
Yeah, and so that's the one side of the coin. So you don't really have, and that one guy who runs that team is Butch, and so obviously he's not. You don't see him for most of this episode. So you're thinking, okay, they're missing their leader. So everything they do is like a gamble, if you know what I mean. I guess everything they did in season one was a gamble too.
And
But
nothing goes right in the first episode when Huey is the captain. Like they go meet the CIA lady, head gone.
I liked. She's a good actor too. I've seen her before somewhere, and like yeah, she's just talking. You see the nose start to bleed, and he goes, "You're right," and she's like, "Bang!" Head explodes, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, she's in that movie Dracula 2000. I don't know if you've seen it. It's where Gerard Butler is Dracula.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
old one.
But yeah, so to have the two sides of the coin are, you have Butcher, who's they got anti-soup, and then you got Homelander on the other side, who's now sort of like really gone off the deep end.
Yep.
Like when he just claps that deaf superhero's head.
Oh, I felt so bad. Okay, just give you like I'll just break down this scene. They need a new superhero in like their Justice League of the universe. They call it the Seven. And the new like office lady's got this kid lined up. He's blind, but he has like super hearing and agility and all that. He's pretty awesome. You see that scene where he's throwing knives, and then Homelander just claps his head and bursts his eardrums, and he's just like, "Nah, you're just another blind kid." He's just a psycho.
That was so brutal. I felt you feel for him because he walks up to him and goes, "Oh, Homelander, you here?" He goes, "Oh, how'd you know it was me?" Like trying to act like he's impressed, and he's just going, and then he says, "Oh, hearing saying that I'm a great hero means the world to me." He goes, "Oh yeah," and so what if I did this and bang, and you see blood spurt everywhere, and it doesn't stop. Like he hits him hard as hard, like it's crazy. There's like some
Like super speed just claps his ears and blood starts squirting out. Oh.
um.
So now that kid's blind and deaf.
It was so brutal. I couldn't believe it. So, but that's the thing. Like the boys, you just don't know what's going to happen, and with Homelander, you just don't know when he's going to snap. And I think he was drinking bloody. Um,
That dead chick's last tube of breast milk or whatever.
yes.
Oh, he's imagine the worst case scenario for Superman.
Well, that's the thing. Like a worst case scenario, like you think would be like a guy like sort of like Brightburn or a
Yeah.
Red Sun version of Superman, but that's predictable because there's bad. Whereas this one is like you don't know what's he going to do. If he's going to bloody take your head off or.
Yeah, Homelander's worse because he pretends to be good.
um, and that was kind of cool. Like when they're trying to film that scene, it's because sort of like he's put this new girl in power. Because he knows that he can control her and that she can just report everything to him. And they're talking about let's work out what kind of slogan we want for the company, and also like what kind of banner we want to have. And he's just like, "Yep, we're going to call the bad guys not super terrorists. We're going to call them super villains. Yeah, it's going to be a bit better ring to it." And they're like, "Oh, okay, yep, no worries. We don't want to be more comic booky, but that's what he thinks is best." So they've gone with that. And it's like was it saving the world or saving him?
Saving
And so
America.
yeah, and so he goes, and so all the people they do like a trial test, like a test, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we like saving the world." And then he's like, "Nope, nope, it's saving America because saving America is going to keep us in the army." So that's his thing he wants to do is keep Soups in the army. So
Are they keeping him in the army or they want to get him into the army fully?
well, yeah, it's to keep them in there. They had that they had that scene where Black Noir went to was at the start of the film went to wherever that super terrorist thing and
Yeah.
just like murdered everyone.
That was a good scene.
Um, and he even gets blown up, but he's still good. But yeah, and it's cool to see because you sort of don't understand what happened because at the end of season one, all this stuff happens and you think, okay, they're on a good turning page here, but this one kicks off and it sort of says everything's gone back to normal. But I guess they don't want to take on Homelander, so
You can't. How do you take him on?
that's the thing. There's no such thing as kryptonite in this world, and
And there's no Batman either.
yeah,
Like
well, Butcher might be the closest guy to Batman, but he's just got no money and no suit.
calls everyone a dog.
um, but yeah, so overall, the first episode was really good.
It was really good.
They showed like a little bit of a recap of what happened last season and what this difference this season. But yeah, it shows that Starlight sort of like she's trying to be on the inside as well as like help Huey on the outside. So that was kind of cool. And she finds that guy that can regrow his limbs, and it's just doing some extra cash on the side by paying like letting people cut off his limbs.
Yeah. I feel bad for Huey. Like Starlight's obviously hurt that he was lying to her and that, but he was only doing that to protect her.
Yeah,
And she's just taken it personally. Like he obviously loves her lots, and she's just being a dog about it.
I think when it comes to that is that she thinks that he was using her to get into the Seven and find information. When realistically, that was true in Butch's aspect. He was trying to push Huey to do that kind of stuff in season one. But yeah, now like
But Huey was only after the Speedy guy,
yeah,
and he's not dead. You see him in the hospital bed.
yeah. Well, I think I've seen some trailers and it shows him back in it. Like he obviously recovers, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. And obviously, what's the deep? He's just getting worse and worse.
What was that scene where he's in the jail when he stands up and he's got like juice coming out of his ass, stuck to this? Oh, he's a weirdo. He's a real unit.
I don't know. It's yeah, it's a bit different, but I like the deep because he's just like a superhero that's gone off the deep end, pretty much, and
Yeah,
he's can't keep up, and he just keeps doing the wrong things, and obviously looks like he's gonna have a bit of a redemption story in this arc, so it'll be pretty funny because in the last season, because he's got the gills on his chest or on his like rib
yeah,
cage, and he had that girl come in and he thought they were gonna get some action, and she just stuck his finger in his gills, and he was like in pain. That was really weird.
yeah. That's pretty strange.
But yeah, I'm really keen to see where Butcher comes into this now. Obviously, like we have a bit of a backstory about his wife and his kid. Well, not his kid, but Homelander's kid, which technically is the very first natural born superhero. So
Yeah, true.
that should be interesting. I wonder if he's going to be like a normal kind of kid, or if he's going to be one of those ones that sort of like a Brightburn character where he just works, he's got so much power and sort of takes, or he's just like inept and just does such stupid stuff. I don't know.
I reckon Homelander's just going to rev him up to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, that makes sense. The good thing about the boys is that it's that popular at the moment that they've already like renewed it for season 3. So like it's obviously they're backing this season so much, and obviously early test screenings show that it's pretty good. So I just want to see more of that brutal stuff, like that poor blind superhero getting clapped in the head. That was just stuff like that is funny, and obviously Homelander shows down with the head of the company, and he should just you're like, oh, okay, this guy's gonna be interesting because he's gonna have to stand his ground, be big and tough, and he was. He literally puts Homelander in his place.
Yeah, Homelander, he's the superhero, but that CEO dude just bitched him so hard in that scene.
Mm.
Bitched him.
But yeah, so that's the boys season 1. Obviously, we probably won't see the whole season. Sorry, season 2 premiere of the season 1, episode 1. Jeez. So obviously, we'll probably do a recap on that once the season probably finishes, and we'll talk about our overall view of the season 2. So that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, 100%.
So recently, Gamescom was out, and they showed a bit more video games and a few more gameplays of other games that we've already seen. Nothing that's really jumped out of us. We were going to talk about it, but nothing really, hits home that we thought that's worth talking about. So we thought there was Ratchet and Clank more live gameplay, so that was interesting. What do you think of that, Nick?
Yeah, I think Ratchet and Clank looks really good. It's more of what we've seen in previous Ratchet and Clanks. This just looks a lot better, like a lot better. And yeah, they're just flexing the load times, I feel, in these trailers, all the portals and stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to see.
Well, when it comes to load times, I just want to draw it back to Ghost of Tsushima. Like the load times, like just when you die, are pretty quick, but like they obviously have to have some kind of load time somewhere.
Yeah.
One of the best ones they've shown is where you like go through one of the gaps in the in between two rocks or something like that.
Yeah.
That's actually a load time, and you think how smooth and transition it is. That's so good to see that how well they incorporate it into games these days.
Yeah, I do enjoy that about Ghost. It kind of feels very seamless because you don't
Yeah.
really know it's a load time because it's only like maybe 3 seconds of crawling, and then you got the next area or you got the next like pocket of the landscape. But yeah, but Ratchet and Clank looks 10 times quicker. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the power, I guess, of the PlayStation 5. It looks really good. It looks really vibrant. I mean, it all depends. You know how sometimes they have games that obviously, like this situation, look really good and everything's going to be fine, they're saying, and the release is going to be smooth. I'm just hoping it's a little bit more than just a release game, for like a launch game, sorry.
Yeah, I hope it's not them promising the world and then when we actually get our hands on it, it's shit. Avengers, for example.
I can't see us like transitioning through worlds into worlds into worlds, if you know what I mean. I feel like that's just like a planned sequence. I think they're just flexing like the load times and stuff. I think the combat will be more linear, maybe. I just don't. Sometimes I get my hopes up a bit too much. And Ratchet and Clank looks amazing, but sometimes it just worries me that we're not seeing all of it.
I hope it's a bundled in game because I don't think a Ratchet and Clank game is worth $100 because they're all pretty short.
Yeah, it depends. They might make it a bit bigger and they might warrant the price tag. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, there's no prices out yet for the console. We want to make sure that we get something decent. For it may be 750, 800 Australian dollars. Not so much. I think everywhere else around the world, it's one of those things. I don't know. I think it's going to sell no matter what. No matter what the price tag is, I think everyone's leaning towards a PlayStation rather than Xbox at the moment. I think the numbers have shown at the moment that PlayStation's in the lead, and that because of their exclusives, they're going to sort of take it home for them. Another game that we saw bits and pieces of was Atomic Heart, created. I forget the developer, but it's like a cross between Fallout. There's like mini boss battles too. I don't know how to sort of explain what kind of game it's like. It's probably like a BioShock and Fallout kind of mixture game.
Yeah, it's if BioShock and Fallout had a baby, but that baby grew up in Russia. It's like that. It's there's like they're all just shouting Russian at each other. Okay, I've got the developer here, Mudfish.
Yep.
Mundfish. Yeah, I've never heard of them. Cool. The lead designer is called Artyom. That's a good sign. But yeah, it looks very interesting. Like the graphics look amazing. And they're like going a bit heavier into the melee combat. I feel from looking at those trailers,
Yep.
and smashing those like munted mannequin people. That looked heaps fun.
Yeah, the weapons are really cool. There are a few like we didn't see too much firearms, as in like guns, but yeah, a lot of melee combat and dodging and stuff like that. And there are sort of like I forget what the powers called and when you're playing Bioshock 1 and 2. But you take those powers and like you have like abilities and stuff like that. That seems like that's prominent in this game too. And there's that little boss fight they so it's like in a cafeteria. I think I can't remember. It's quite a big open area, but it's like I'm not sure kind of what monster it reminds me of, but it's like a static kind of thing, and it just like roams around and it can just like rip you to pieces.
Did you play the Blair Witch game last year?
No, I didn't. I know you did.
They look like the monsters in that look like the ones from Blair
Oh,
Witch.
okay. Yeah.
Like they like when they move, it looks like they're just glitching because they're that quick.
Yeah. No, the enemies. If there's different enemy types similar to that, then that'd be really awesome to see. Like, there's different kind of bosses. Obviously, they are going to be like that. But yeah, that was a really cool little snippet of gameplay there. Yeah, the mannequin stuff like that. It's just something different. Although it seems something that we've seen already, it is different.
Yeah, I do like that there wasn't much guns because if it's post-apocalyptic, like real apocalyptic shit, ammo probably would be scarce. And I hope it's a bit like Dead Rising style, where you can like craft your own kind of melee weapons, like with shit you find. I think that would be really cool in this world
Yeah.
because you'd be able to like imagine like ripping like cogs and stuff off machines and sticking them to pipes and poles. That'd be wicked.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that it lives up to the hype at the moment that we are putting around it. I guess. Yeah, it's just like I said, it's a different take on some of those worlds. It's like I said, it looks very similar to what we've seen before. But you never know, they might take it to a different route and stuff like that. Because there are other games based in the USSR. There's another game coming out this year. I forget what it's called. I think it's going to be on. I think it's going to be PlayStation release, or maybe an Xbox. I can't remember.
Oh, just the thing I'm looking at here, one of the related games was Chernobyl or Chernobylite. Is that out
Yeah,
yet?
that's the one.
Yeah,
Oh, that one's is that on PC?
yeah.
I think
I
that's going
think
to.
it is. Yeah, it's Steam. Yeah,
Yeah, it's that reminds me a bit of Metro. It
yeah.
looks very Metro like, very dark and gloomy and stuff like that. Whereas Atomic Heart looks a bit more brighter, even though it's like still a sort of like dark and grey palette kind of atmosphere and setting. It still seems a bit brighter than these games. Like that Chernobyl Light is looks very like it's fighting in the dark. Minimal light and stuff like that, and really dark and gritty combat. So but those games aren't such a bad thing. I'm trying to work out what's really going to pique my interest now. If you know what I mean, like what game's really going to draw me out to play. I mean, we know there's a few games coming out on PlayStation 5 that looked interesting, but looked and playing is completely different. So look at us, ripping apart Ghost of Tsushima,
And we
and
love it.
we love it. So yeah, I'm sort of not sure what game is really going to take the cake in the next 6-7 months. I guess Call of Duty comes into a play, Assassin's Creed. In saying that, Assassin's Creed, I find is going to be a bland now.
Yeah, the two games that are on my horizon, like not, I shouldn't have said Horizon because that's in one of the games, but that's not one of my games. Two games I'm looking forward to the most in the next gen is Cyberpunk because I've just been waiting for that since I saw the trailer in Year 12 in 2013, and um and Resident Evil. That's the two I'm keen for. COD's the same every year. We're going to play it for 2 months and then forget about it.
I mean, I forgot about Cyberpunk, but that's the thing though. It's one of those things, you just expect it's going to be out now, and I was not saying that I've lost the hype for it. I'm really keen to play it, but with so much other stuff being announced, e.g., like the new consoles and stuff, it's sort of like falling back behind a bit. And I think that they don't mind that because for a while there is like Cyberpunk. When's Cyberpunk coming out? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. They're gonna have to put it this year. If it gets one more delay, that's it. It's gonna die.
I don't. I think people still obviously buy it. Like this, it's going to be one of the biggest games of this generation. Well, it's going to be next generation too. But of the probably last 5 years, it's going to be it's one of the biggest games. And obviously, we've been waiting a long time to play it. So I think it's going to be successful. But people are getting frustrated that is there a proper release date yet? I just don't think so.
Don't know, but like it's stupid. I saw the Cyberpunk trailer in Year 12,
Yeah.
that original one, and I was oh cool, we'll be able to play this soon. Yeah, I was shitting in one hand and wishing in the other. Guess which one filled up first?
7 years later.
Yeah,
But yeah, the game looks interesting. It looks fun. Obviously, got Keanu Reeves in it, which is a massive bonus. So yeah, I'm definitely keen for Cyberpunk too. but yeah, I'm just trying to think now of other games. What I'm really keen, I'm smashing out Ghost of Tsushima at the moment. Like, obviously, I'll try and get that finished so then we can talk about it. But then the multiplayer of that comes out, so I'm really keen for that. Um, I really would like to go back and do a playthrough. I know we've spoken a few times now about it. Of The Last of Us with the permadeath game mode.
Yeah, that's all you, mate. I'm not doing that.
I just really like the Last of Us world, and I actually like Last of Us Part Two. Although it dragged on at the end a little bit, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games coming up that have potentially to be, you know, game of the year editions, kind of thing. But it all depends on what happens with the next gen consoles. If there's nothing coming out, what's the point of buying a next gen console until more games are available? If you know what I mean?
I just want to know how much it's going to cost so I can pre-order it.
Yeah,
Like, they reckon it's this year. It's September and we don't have a price. That is a joke.
yeah, it'd be sort of nice to know how much we're going to cost us to purchase one of these new consoles. I'm hoping it's nothing for the PlayStation. The way the hardware specs in the Xbox are a little bit better.
But the games are
So
worse. So I don't
yeah,
understand what's happening. Xbox, as Pap said the other week, shit the bed.
but that's what I'm hoping, that maybe that PlayStation's a little bit cheaper than Xbox. If that's the case, if the hardware's not as expensive to make, well, not that we know that, but the specs show that the PlayStation, the solid state drive inside of it's better. But most of the stuff in the Xbox is a little bit better than the PlayStation. So I'm hoping that maybe the PlayStation's like $50 to $100 cheaper. So if it's over $800 for the PlayStation 5, it has to really warrant that, So I don't know, because my PC can run most of pretty much all the games at the moment that are currently out max settings. So,
Yeah, I'm going to trade my PS4 towards it anyway, so it's going to take a chunk out. But
well, I'm guessing that most of the games, like especially like The Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima, will be backwards compatible
yeah,
on those console on PlayStation 5.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they've said that they're going to the backwards compatible is going to be heaps good for PS4, but like even further, it's not going to be really much.
Yeah, I think they're saying that. Yeah, the majority of the games on PlayStation 4 will be good to play, but further back, not so much. So that's a good bonus. I can keep my games. I can still play them if I want to go back and play them. Because I'll probably trade in PlayStation 4 as well, even though EB Games will probably give me biscuits for it.
Yeah, but
But yeah,
every bit helps.
that's it towards it. So, anyways, I think we have run our course now. We're sort of mumbling on a bit, so we're going to end it there. Obviously, like I said, we've been having problems, so please bear with us. And this episode will be releasing a little bit later. Not that you guys will know that at the time of listening to it. So, but overall, can you please just do the usual? Listen to us wherever you can, whether it be on our Google Podcasts, Apple, or what's the other one are we on? Oh, Spotify. That's it.
The best one.
Yeah, the best one. And yeah, obviously give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Every little bit helps to grow our sort of channel and our brand out there. Not saying we're pushing that, but we really want to. We're just trying our hardest to get everything going and running smoothly. So that's it from me. Nick, any last words?
Peace out.
Oh, one last thing is that we will not be having an episode. We're having about a week and a half break because I'll be going on holidays. So,
Yeah.
anyways, take care, everyone. Enjoy yourself. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Stay safe.